Let me ask you something. Just for a moment, be honest with yourself. If today was the last page of your story, would it be a chapter worth reading? Because here's the truth, most people avoid life is not short. Life is exactly as long as it needs to be for you to decide who you're going to become. And too many people are breathing, but they're not living. They wake up tired, go to work uninspired, come home empty, and repeat the cycle like time owes them something. It doesn't. Time is neutral. It gives you 24 hours a day, no more, no less. What you do with it determines whether you build a legacy or leave nothing behind but excuses. Don't waste your life. Time is the one thing you are spending every single second, whether you are aware of it or not. Right now, as you sit here listening, time is moving. It doesn't slow down for confusion. It doesn't pause for fear, and it doesn't negotiate with regret. It just moves quietly, relentlessly. And the danger isn't that time runs out suddenly. The danger is that it slips away slowly while you're distracted, comfortable, and telling yourself you'll get serious tomorrow. See, money can disappear and come back. People lose fortunes and rebuild them. They lose jobs and find better ones. They lose status and gain wisdom. But time doesn't circle back. Once a moment passes, it's gone forever. No refund, no replay, no apology. And yet people treat time like it's cheap, like it's unlimited, like they've got a warehouse full of it waiting for later. Later is the most expensive word you'll ever use. The average person lives around 75 years. That sounds like a long time until you break it down. You sleep for a third of it. Another big chunk goes to work, commuting, obligations, distractions, and noise. Then you start subtracting the hours wasted on things that don't grow you, don't heal you, don't move you forward. Endless scrolling, endless complaining, endless waiting for the right moment. And before you know it, decades are gone, and all you have to show for it is exhaustion and a list of excuses that once sounded reasonable. People say, "I'll do it when I'm ready." Let me tell you something. Ready is a lie fear tells you to keep you small. Nobody ever feels ready to step into their purpose. Nobody ever wakes up fully prepared to chase something meaningful. Readiness comes from movement, not waiting. Time rewards action, not intention. Intentions don't age well. They expire if you don't use them. You see, every morning you wake up, you're handed a fresh deposit of 24 hours. Rich or poor, famous or unknown, powerful or overlooked, you all get the same amount. The only difference between the people who build something meaningful and the people who don't is how they spend that deposit. Some invest it. Some waste it. Some give it away to people and problems that will never give them a return. And here's the hard truth. If you don't decide what your time is worth, the world will decide for you. Your phone will decide. Other people's expectations will decide. Your comfort zone will decide. And none of them care about your potential. They only care about your availability. Think about the things you say you want, the life you imagine, the person you believe you could become. Now ask yourself, does the way you spend your time match what you say you want? Because time doesn't lie. Your schedule tells the truth your mouth avoids. It shows what you value, what you fear, and what you're willing to fight for. There are people who work the same job for 30 years, not because it fulfilled them, but because it felt safe. There are people who stayed silent their whole lives because speaking up felt risky. There are people who loved deeply but never said it out loud because vulnerability felt dangerous. And now time has passed, and all that's left is wishing they had been braver when it mattered. Urgency isn't panic. Urgency is respect. Respect for the fact that you are alive right now. Respect for the opportunity in front of you. Respect for the truth that tomorrow is promised to no one. When you truly understand the value of time, you stop procrastinating your purpose. You stop waiting for permission. You stop letting fear manage your calendar. You don't need more hours in the day. You need fewer excuses in your mind. You need to stop pretending you've got forever and start moving like you understand what's at stake. Because one day, and it will come faster than you think, you'll look back and realize the moments you wasted were the moments that could have changed everything. Time is not just ticking. Time is testing you. Testing whether you'll rise, whether you'll act, whether you'll live deliberately instead of accidentally. And the question isn't how much time you have left. The real question is how much of your life you are truly using. People spend years asking one question over and over again. What am I supposed to do with my life? They ask friends. They ask family. They scroll through videos, books, quotes, hoping something will hit them like lightning and suddenly make everything clear. But purpose doesn't arrive like a message from the sky. It doesn't knock on your door when you're sitting still. Purpose responds to movement. It shows up when you do. Most people think they need clarity before they act. The truth is, clarity comes after you move. You don't see the whole staircase when you're standing at the bottom. You see the next step. And the only way the next step reveals itself is if you're brave enough to take the first one. Too many lives stay small because people are waiting to feel confident, waiting to feel ready, waiting to feel sure. Meanwhile, life is passing them by quietly and patiently while they think about it. Every fulfilled person you admire started confused. They didn't begin with a master plan. They began with a decision to try, a decision to show up, a decision to step into uncertainty instead of running from it. Purpose is not a feeling, it's a practice. It's something you build through repetition, through effort, through getting your hands dirty in the work. Think about a child learning to walk. They don't sit on the floor saying, "I'll try once I fully understand balance." They stand up, they fall, they cry, they stand up again. That's how progress works. That's how purpose works. You learn who you are by doing, not by thinking. Action teaches lessons that comfort never will. Research backs this up. Studies in psychology show that people who actively engage in challenging, meaningful activities, especially ones aligned with service, creativity, or growth, report higher levels of fulfillment than those who spend their time searching for happiness itself. Happiness is a byproduct. Purpose is the engine. When you focus only on how you feel, you drift. When you focus on what you're building, you grow. A lot of people say, "I don't know what my purpose is." What they really mean is, "I'm afraid to commit to something and fail." Because once you commit, you risk disappointment. You risk judgment. You risk discovering you're not as good as you hoped. But here's the reality. Failure doesn't steal your purpose. Avoidance does. Staying idle robs you of growth. Standing still keeps you confused. Purpose often starts small. It might begin with helping one person, learning one skill, taking one opportunity that scares you just enough to make your heart race. You don't need a spotlight. You don't need approval. You need momentum. Momentum changes how you see yourself. It builds confidence not from words, but from evidence. Some of the most impactful people in the world didn't start out chasing purpose. They started out chasing excellence in front of them. They did the job well. They showed up early. They stayed late. They cared when no one was watching. And somewhere along the way, meaning found them. Service has a way of revealing direction. Ask yourself this. When was the last time you challenged yourself to grow instead of staying where it was safe? When was the last time you did something uncomfortable, not for applause, but for progress? Growth doesn't come from waiting for inspiration. Inspiration comes from growth. You weren't put here just to pass time, pay bills, and survive until the end. There is something inside you that was meant to be used. A voice meant to be heard. A skill meant to be sharpened. A contribution meant to be made. But none of it activates until you move. Potential unused becomes frustration. Talent ignored turns into regret. Stop asking life for answers while refusing to take steps. Life responds to action. It meets you in motion. When you work, when you serve, when you try, when you fail forward, that's when purpose starts to speak. And it doesn't speak loudly at first. It whispers through experience, through lessons, through moments when you realize this matters. You don't need to know the whole plan. You just need the courage to begin. Because purpose isn't something you find one day. It's something you become step by step, choice by choice, through action. Fear is the most talented liar you will ever meet. It doesn't come at you loud or aggressive. It doesn't announce itself as the enemy. It speaks softly, reasonably, almost lovingly. It tells you it's protecting you. It says, "Be careful. Wait a little longer. This isn't the right time." And before you know it, fear has negotiated you out of the very life you were meant to live. Fear doesn't stop you by force. It stops you by convincing you that staying where you are is safer than stepping into who you could become. It paints comfort as security and risk as danger. But let me tell you something important. Comfort has never built greatness. Comfort has never changed a life. Comfort has never unlocked potential. Comfort keeps you alive, but it will never make you feel alive. Most people don't fail because they tried and lost. They fail because they let fear talk them out of trying at all. They rehearse worst-case scenarios in their mind until the dream feels impossible. They imagine rejection before it ever happens. They quit in their thoughts long before they ever quit in reality. And the tragedy is, Fear never shows you the full picture. It never shows you what could go right. It only shows you what could go wrong. Think about how many moments fear has already stolen from you. The conversation you didn't have, the opportunity you didn't take, the idea you didn't share, the chance you didn't chase because you were afraid of being judged, failing publicly, or discovering your limits. Fear doesn't just steal opportunities, it steals time. And time lost to fear is the most painful loss of all, because you don't get it back. What fear really hates is movement. Fear survives in hesitation. The moment you take a step, fear starts to lose its grip. Courage isn't the absence of fear. Courage is deciding that what's on the other side of fear matters more than staying comfortable where you are. Every person you admire had fear. Every successful story you've ever heard involved doubt. The difference is, they moved anyway. There's a reason why people regret the things they didn't do more than the things they did. Studies on regret show that as people age, the deepest pain doesn't come from failure, it comes from inaction, from chances not taken, from words not spoken, from lives played too small. Failure teaches. Fear only leaves questions. Fear will tell you that you're not ready. But readiness doesn't come before action. Readiness comes because of action. You don't build confidence by thinking about doing something. You build confidence by surviving the doing. Every time you step into fear and don't break, something inside you changes. You realize you're stronger than the voice that tried to stop you. Fear will also tell you that people are watching, judging, waiting for you to mess up. Let me give you some freedom. Most people are too busy worrying about their own insecurities to focus on yours. And the ones who do judge, they're usually not doing anything themselves. You can't let opinions from people who aren't living your life control the direction of your life. Fear convinces you that playing small is humility. It's not. Playing small is fear dressed up as politeness. There's nothing noble about hiding your gifts. There's nothing honorable about shrinking so others feel comfortable. You were given what you were given for a reason. And refusing to use it doesn't protect anyone. It just wastes potential. Every breakthrough requires a moment where you choose courage over comfort. Every transformation begins with a decision to stop listening to the voice that says, stay the same. Fear will never disappear completely, but it doesn't have to be the leader of your life. It can ride in the back seat while purpose takes the wheel. Ask yourself this: if fear wasn't in the room, what would you do differently? Who would you become? What would you try? The answer to that question is a clue. Not to what's easy, but to what matters. Fear will promise safety, but it always charges a price. And that price is the life you could have lived. The moment you realize that, fear loses its power, because the pain of regret is heavier than the discomfort of courage. And once you understand that, you stop letting fear decide your future. Dreams sound good when you talk about them. They feel powerful when you imagine them. But dreams without discipline are just wishes dressed up to feel important. Discipline is what turns vision into reality. It's the quiet force that shows up when motivation disappears. And motivation will disappear. Count on it. There will be days when you don't feel like pushing, days when you doubt yourself, days when quitting feels logical. Discipline is what keeps you moving on those days. People love the highlight moments. They love the applause, the results, the finished product. But what they don't see is the routine. They don't see the early mornings, the late nights, the repetition, the boredom. They don't see the sacrifice of comfort. Discipline isn't glamorous. It doesn't announce itself. It works quietly, consistently, relentlessly. And that's why it works. The problem is, many people wait to feel inspired before they act. They want the feeling first and the work second. But disciplined people understand something different. Action creates inspiration, not the other way around. You don't get fired up and then work. You work, and then the fire shows up. Momentum builds belief. Progress builds confidence. Think about any area of life: fitness, career, relationships, growth. Results don't come from intensity once in a while. They come from consistency over time. One workout doesn't change your body. One focused day doesn't change your future. But thousands of small decisions stacked together. That's transformation. That's how ordinary people build extraordinary lives. Discipline is choosing what you want most over what you want now. It's saying no to comfort so you can say yes to growth. It's doing the hard thing when no one is watching. Because when no one is watching, that's when character is built. That's when habits are formed. And habits, more than talent, determine where you end up. A lot of people sabotage themselves because they underestimate the power of small actions. They think success requires one big moment, one lucky break, one dramatic change. But real progress looks boring from the outside. It looks like showing up again and again, even when it feels like nothing is happening. But something is happening. You're becoming someone different. Discipline also teaches self-respect. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you send a message that you can be trusted. Every time you break one, you weaken that trust. Over time, this shapes how you see yourself. People who lack discipline don't lack talent, they lack belief in themselves. And that belief is built through follow-through. There will be times when discipline feels heavy, when the work feels endless, when the results are slow. That's the test. That's the separating point between people who talk and people who build, because anyone can be motivated when things are going well. But discipline shows who you are when things are hard. Look at the people who stay consistent. They're not always the smartest or the most gifted. They're the ones who decided that quitting was no longer an option. They don't rely on feelings. They rely on standards. Standards don't change based on mood. Standards keep you moving when emotions try to pull you off course. Discipline isn't about being perfect. You will miss days. You will make mistakes. You will fall short. Discipline is about getting back up quickly and returning to the process. It's about refusing to let one bad moment turn into a bad week, a bad month, or a bad life. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your habits. And habits are built through disciplined action, repeated over time. If you want a different life, you need different habits. If you want different habits, you need discipline. Every great outcome is the result of small, disciplined choices made daily. When you understand that, you stop looking for shortcuts. You stop waiting for motivation. You stop asking for easy. You start showing up. And slowly, quietly, powerfully, discipline builds the bridge between who you are and who you're meant to become. At the end of the day, no one remembers the comfort zone you stayed in. No one celebrates the hours you spent avoiding risk. They remember the courage you showed, the people you lifted, the lives you touched. Legacy is not measured by wealth or titles or applause. It's measured by the impact you leave behind. And the truth is, every life has the power to leave an imprint. The question is, will you use it? Or will you let it fade quietly into the noise of ordinary? Most people think they have to do something grand to matter. They believe that if it's not noticed, if it's not huge, it's not significant. That's a lie. Real influence doesn't come from size. It comes from consistency and authenticity. You don't have to be famous to change a life. Sometimes one honest conversation, one act of kindness, one moment of presence is enough to create a ripple that changes generations. And those ripples, small as they may seem, outlast money, outlast recognition, outlast even fame. Think about the people who mattered to you the most. Chances are they weren't perfect. They weren't superheroes. They were just present. They showed up when it counted. They spoke hope into your doubt. They encouraged you when the world told you to quit. And because of them, you survived. Because of them, you grew. That's legacy. That's the real measure of a life lived well. And you have the same power to be that person for someone else. Legacy is not an accident. It doesn't happen because you worked hard at the wrong things. It doesn't happen because you chased recognition or approval. Legacy is intentional. It's deliberate. Every decision you make, every conversation you have, every way you treat someone shapes it. You can either build a life that leaves people inspired, or you can spend it chasing empty validation and leave nothing behind but silence. The most meaningful contributions are not always noticed in the moment. Teachers, parents, mentors, leaders, they plant seeds that grow slowly. Sometimes they never see the harvest, but the fruit of their effort will always come. Your actions echo farther than you realize. Every encouraging word, every sacrifice, every choice to do the right thing, even when it's hard, it all compounds. It all matters. It all builds a story worth remembering. We live in a world that glorifies speed, visibility, and instant success, but legacy is slow. Legacy is patient. It doesn't demand attention, it demands integrity. It demands persistence. The people who change the world aren't the ones who shout the loudest, they're the ones who show up day after day in service of something bigger than themselves. They leave a footprint not on a stage, but on hearts. And here's the point, you don't have to wait to have impact. You don't have to wait to be in a position of power. Every life has opportunities to serve, to inspire, to teach, to love. Every life has moments where the choice is simple: will you act or will you let it pass? Every conversation, every act of courage, every time you speak truth over fear, you are building your legacy. You are shaping how the world will remember you. Legacy also comes from how you handle hardship. People will remember how you carried yourself in storms more than how you celebrated in sunshine. They'll remember the courage, the generosity, the integrity you maintained when no one else cared. That's what sticks. That's what matters. Not wealth, not awards, not fleeting attention, but the lives you lift, the hope you give, the change you ignite. So ask yourself, what do you want to leave behind? Who do you want to be remembered as? Will you be someone who played it safe or someone who made a difference? Will you be someone who settled for comfort or someone who served with courage? Will you be someone whose story ends quietly or someone whose impact echoes long after you're gone? You have the choice. Every day, every action, every word matters. Legacy isn't about the spotlight. It's about light. Light you shine in the lives of others. Light that persists long after your time here is done. And if you live with that in mind, if you make each decision with the understanding that you are building something bigger than yourself, you will never live a wasted life. You will never live unnoticed. You will leave a mark, and that mark will matter. One day, you'll wake up and realize time moved faster than you thought. Your children will be grown. Your parents will be older. Your reflection will tell stories your mouth never spoke. The question is, will those stories be filled with courage or regret? You don't need permission to live a meaningful life. You need decision. Decide to stop wasting time. Decide to stop shrinking your dreams to fit your fears. Decide to live with urgency, intention, and heart, because life is not a rehearsal. This is it. And the world doesn't need a perfect version of you. It needs a present, committed, fully alive version of you. So stand up, show up, and whatever you do, don't waste your life.